That's football, 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 football. We bloody love football. Monday night football, Chelsea, Everton, we're about to watch. Tuesday night football, PSG, Barcelona. Wednesday night football, Real Madrid at Man City, Arsenal at Bayern Munich. And then Thursday night football, I firmly believe we are going to get at least one big shocking comeback, whether it's Liverpool against Atalanta or it's West Ham against Leverkusen. Football, football, football. That's what we've got for you on That's Football. So get involved. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Thank you for everybody. I actually fancy Everton. I'm in that confident, predictive mood. I actually do fancy Everton tonight. Lots to get into on the show. Hope you're all doing really, really well. Busy, always a busy day for me on a Monday, actually. And I'm looking forward to... there's Sean Dyche. There he is. Sean Dyche. Lovely stuff. Yeah, get your comments in below. Lots to talk about. I'm going to be ranking your weekends out of 10, by the way, at some point. So you can let me know what you did this weekend. I'll rank it out of 10. This is coming from a story I had from somebody today it's not Ben Foster, I've got to say, because you're all going to think it's Ben Foster now because you know I've seen Ben Foster doing the football fill-in. Basically, somebody said to me today, what do you think of this weekend? Saturday morning, full English fry-up. Saturday lunchtime, went to watch my lad play football. Saturday afternoon, went out for a meal. Saturday night, went and stayed at a hotel with the missus. She brought a gear. Did things we don't normally do at home. Sunday morning, another fry up at the hotel. Sunday afternoon, lovely family lunch, and then Sunday evening, watched a good film, and then had a bottle of wine. Rank that weekend. And you know, it wasn't Ben Foster, so don't think it was like that. William, did he get pegged? I've got no comments on that. I don't know. I don't know what gear was taken. I mean, I don't think it was drugs. But yeah, it wasn't my weekend either. What gear, says Ryan? I don't think it was drugs. I think she probably took the rabbit, or I got the impression it was like whips and rabbits and lingerie. I don't know what gear he meant. I mean, I'm by a rabbit. I don't mean like a real rabbit. I mean, that's just bestiality. You know, it's not great, is it? Oh, I tell you what, Chelsea nearly went ahead there. 1-0. Anyway, tell me weekends at some point. We'll start ranking some of them. Hi, Mark. Hope you're having a good evening. I'm not after my club have hurt me again, losing to Villa and handing the title to City. Still angry about it, says Kieran. Well, look, what you need to do if you're a Liverpool or Arsenal fan, and I don't normally well, I do, but what you need to do if you're a Liverpool or an Arsenal fan is get yourself over onto the podcast that came out today. You can listen to it on Spotify. I'm going to whack up the QR code there. Download it now with your camera phone. Give it a follow, listen to it later, or listen to it now while you're watching this. I just basically went off on one about Man City, and I'm absolutely correct. There's no doubt about it. I'm absolutely correct. You've got to listen to the podcast and share it everywhere because I'm absolutely correct. People are lost on the 115. It's irrelevant. Hopefully they'll get done with it, but even if they get off with it, people are thick. Like, the 115 charges are obviously relevant if they get done, but even if they don't get done, what people aren't realising is they had 12 years of spending money they shouldn't have been allowed to spend that nobody else can now do. So even if they get off with the charges, they've still spent loads of money that no one else can spend now. Newcastle can't do what Man City did. If Spurs got bought by Qatar, they can't do what Man City did. So the league's fucked because they allowed one club to spend a shitload of money for 12 years. They're either finding them guilty or not guilty. If they find them not guilty, they've still benefited from spending a shitload of money that no one else could do. So, but no one talks about that. They get lost in the 115, but even if they get found not guilty, they've still benefited from spending a load of money that they never really had in their revenue, and no one else can do it now. So they're massively far ahead. It's like making a rule that one team can wear nitro trainers. Then they go so far ahead, and then they say no one else can wear nitro trainers anymore. Mark, do you believe that you would do a better job as United manager than Southgate? I do, James. I might be the only one, but I do. Who's the daddy, says Yannick. Fun fact, Steven Gerrard ate a hamster, says GP. I don't know about that. that. Anyway, I quite fancy Chelsea to. I fancy Everton to win this game. If you've not seen the team news, by the way, I will go through it for you very, very quickly. Let me just get the old stats carousel rolling around. Chelsea, obviously, at home. They are lining up with Petrovic, Gusto, Chalobah, Silva, Cucurella, Casido, Gallagher, and Palmer, and then Madueke, Mudryk, and Jackson. I think Enzo Fernandez must be injured because he's not even on the bench. So different midfield three for them. Everton are lining up with, obviously, Pickford in goal. Coleman, Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Mikalenko, and Young. So it's like a back five. Anana, Garner, Decore, and then McNeil and Gomez. So, yeah, I think Everton are going to do a lot of defending today. But I fancy Everton to get something. I don't know about you. But it's the start of a really exciting week anyway. Really exciting week of football. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. I say that because we're only 50 subscribers away from 134,000. So let's make sure we smash that tonight. Get involved with That's Football. You're all very, very welcome. Chelsea pinging the ball around nicely here. Of course, the interesting thing with Chelsea is if they were to win today, they... I know it just flashed up there. Everton are looking pretty safe, to be honest. I know they're not completely safe, but they do have another game in hand after this one. So I think Everton are going to be pretty safe. But with regards to the league table at the moment, if Chelsea were to win today, they would go. They'd go 2 points behind Man United in seventh, with 6 games to go. So 2 points behind Newcastle in sixth as well. So Chelsea, despite a shit season, could still salvage Europa League football, which just shows you how crap everyone else. Mark's wearing a Stowline proper Chelsea, says I'm wearing it because apparently, you know, I'm an online fan and I'm not a real fan. So I got the Stony out, you know. Had Brill weekend with shits and vomiting all weekend, says Logie. Yeah, let me rank your weekend. As I said, somebody I saw today, I don't want to list it all off again, but basically good food, good sex, good drink, good times. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. But Logie had shits and vomiting. I'd probably give it a 1. In fact, I'd give it a 0. I hate the idea of both. Dusk says, do you think that the reason the refs are so consistently bad in the Prem is actually on purpose so that when they make corrupt decisions, we can't be sure if it's corruption or incompetence, says Dusk. Dusk, I'm going to say something controversial here. I mean, it's more in depth on the podcast. Make sure you give it a listen. But here's Madueke. Good defending or not. Cut back and cleared. Philip Sutton's just gifted a membership. Thank you very much. You know what we need to do? We need to stop living in the Premier League PR hype. We haven't got the best league in the world. We haven't. And I know I've said it, but I've had an epiphany. I've had an awakening. We haven't got the best league in the world. How can you have the best league in the world when the 3 newly promoted teams are always the favourites to go down and Man City have won 6 titles out of the last 7? They are not the ingredients for the best league in the world. We also have shit officiating that has destroyed the integrity of this league. We need to wake up. The Premier League is an amazing brand and they make a lot of money. And all around the world, people spend a lot of money to watch the Premier League because, you know what? It's an amazing brand. But it's a myth that it's the best league in the world. And I fell for it. I fell for it. It's not the best league in the world. It's absolutely boring. And it's going to stay boring because Man City are going to keep winning the league and the 3 promoted teams are going to keep being the favourites to go down. So explain to me, if the relegation race is predictable and the title winner is known before the season starts, how have we got the best league in the world? We get good individual games. You know, you get Crystal Palace beating Liverpool at Anfield. You get Villa beating Arsenal at the Emirates. You know, you get games that are good. But we haven't got the best league in the world. It's absolutely It needs to be spoken about the same way people spoke about the Bundesliga, or the same people speak about the French league. And I'm one of the biggest culprits. But, our podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football, is here to deliver home truths. And there's a lot more in depth on the podcast, but, in a short sense, I don't see Man City stopping because their revenue is bigger than everyone else. Their wages gap to revenue is huge. They can afford to spend £200-300 million every summer. That's not going to change. They've got the best manager. They've got the best players. They've got the best squad. Man City haven't even been that good this season. I think they've been a 7 out of 10 compared to last year, and they're still going to win the league comfortably, and they could still win the treble. And that's not a dig at Man City fans, by the way. Man City fans will go burn, cry, jealous, all of which could be true. It doesn't change the fact whether I'm crying, salty, burning, whatever. It still doesn't change the fact that I'm right. This league is boring. You are the favourites next year already. I'd say you're the favourites the year after that already. I mean, to stop Man City winning the league, you have to do something really boring. You have to basically win nearly every game. Well, look, with all due respect to Liverpool or Arsenal, if they win the league next year, they're going to have to basically win nearly every game, which as a spectator is really fucking boring because I want to see competition. So Everton have just missed an absolute sitter, by the way. Beto has shito. I don't know whether we're about to just see miss of the season. The cross comes in from Ashley Young. No, it's Coleman. He's definitely onside. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That miss. That's got to be miss of the season. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable miss. He's in the 6-yard box and he's volleyed it over the bar. Got a new weekend to rank here. Kieran says, my weekend was sorting a new gaming setup on Saturday, then spent most of Sunday gaming, but Arsenal lost, then drowned my sorrows in alcohol. Well, the Arsenal loss is never going to be nice for you. Let's be honest about that. A gaming setup is very niche, but I don't mind that. And having a few drinks afterwards, don't have a mind for that. I'll give you a 6. Oops, I meant Mark's a sharp C. Sup? Yeah, I've just seen what you said there. Hope you're well and get well. Thank you very much. Lee, my missus was diagnosed with acidosis and my youngest was confirmed as having something else. I don't know what they are, Lee, but it doesn't sound very good. So I hope you're doing well. Premier League is not the best in the world because of Man City, and it's almost like a monopoly, says Artin. People need to start talking about this, though. If I don't really want to be a voice for the fans. I want to be a voice, in this community. But you know what? If just a handful of you start walking out there and saying, we haven't got the best league in the world, it's fucking boring, then the message will start to get out there. The scary thing is, six Premier League titles in 7 years is a fucking farce. Fair play Man City for winning. You can't moan about that. Well, you can, but you can't do anything about it. But 6 Premier Leagues in 7 years for one team. Why have we not woken up to this sooner? This ain't the best league in the world. It's boring and predictable. And Man City haven't been at their best this year. De Bruyne wasn't even playing for half of it. Haaland may well win the Golden Boot, and he's not had a good season. Football in England is different from everyone else. I've never lived in the UK, but I feel a connection with football there, and I haven't anywhere else. For starters, stadiums are always full, says Shahin. Kyle says, Man City hardly go for hype players. Well, that's got nothing to do with anything. What's a hype player? They go for the right player. My weekend catching up on Goldbridge Saves Football podcast while studying for my solicitor's exam with a Chinese to finish. And it's a goal! It's a goal! It's Cole Palmer again. It's goal Palmer. And it's a lovely goal. I mean, this lad just can't stop scoring. Some people find him irritating and say he's got a face you'd like to slap. I don't really get that, really. Regardless of the face, it's the feet that do the things for me. And I just think he's a fantastic talent. You've got to be considering him for some sort of award this year. I mean, he basically nutmegs. Branthwaite's just been absolutely mugged off as well. Watch what he does to Branthwaite. This is one of the goals of the season. If Messi did this, fucking hell. Megs Branthwaite plays a 1-2 with a flick from Jackson and puts it in the bottom corner. I mean, that goal is just unbelievable. They've got a player there. They've got a player there. Unbelievable. Phoenix says that was nasty. It had a Megs, it had a flick, and it had a brilliant finish. It's a hat-trick goal, that is. And Chelsea have done what they normally struggle to do, which is score. Man City will win the treble, get all charges dismissed, and we'll just have to take it, says Mrs. Stone. Yeah, I think that will happen, and if that does happen, they're going to dominate for years and years and years and years and years. Had a great weekend, Mark, says Fennick. Other than that boring draw from United, watched UFC 300 till 6:30am. Really good fights. And watched the Masters as well, says Fennick. Rebecca has been catching up on Goldbridge Saves Football podcast and studying and had a Chinese. I'll give that an 8 out of 10. Yeah. Always going to give extra points for being an ultra, listening to the podcast. Premier League is not the best in the world. I've done that one. Can you enlighten me and inform us who are listening about the financial situation of Everton and whether there is a great danger of Everton going into admin, says Havard. I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? I wish we did get educated more on this. I think that I was speaking to an Everton fan last week. And he's actually on the Everton Toffee Men TV, and he was saying that, you know, it's almost like football is just always about the top six. And I said, well, I understand that, but actually a lot of us are interested in other clubs. I mean, a lot of us would be, oh, what a miss. Cole Palmer, open goal. Chelsea all over Everton here, but they should have scored. It should have been 2-0. From hero to miss. I wouldn't say 0, but Everton on the break. Everton getting done on the break. Everybody's onside. I think Cole Palmer might have been offside, and it was behind him, actually. He might have been offside. No, he wasn't. He was on. It was just the ball was behind him. Could have been 2. Yeah, no, I don't know the Everton situation. I don't. And, you know, that's something that does piss me off a little bit about football in this country, is that we are very top 6 centric, aren't we? I think Xabi Alonso could be a good match for Pep, says Jack. Didn't fancy it, though, did he? Ben Eltham says, Mark, rank the leagues. Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, Eredivisie, Liga, National League. Well, I have a soft spot for the National League. It's probably the hardest league in the world because only one team gets promoted and then about 7 go into playoffs. But for pure entertainment, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, Ben, and everybody, I'd say the best league in the world for, you know, interest is Serie A, because they've had, I don't know how many different winners they've had in the last few years, but they've certainly had closer title races. And more importantly, you know, it's not always about the title race, is it? It's about the different winners. So I think Serie A has to be the best league in Europe because it's actually better spread. Bundesliga this year is great. And look, people, you can't talk about how many points teams win a league by, because Leverkusen have won the league by loads. It's still a brilliant season for the Bundesliga. So I think the Serie A is the best league in Europe. And you'd have to say that the fact that the Premier League can keep selling the Premier League as the best league in the world is laughable when they've got a team that's so dominant and a juggernaut winning it every year. Ryle says, why do you think the charges against Man City will be dismissed? I don't, because it's the Premier League. I mean, do you genuinely have faith in the Premier League and anything that they do? I don't. I don't judge how good the league is based on City's dominance. There's so much competition below them. It's kind of basic basing it on one winner, says Nick P. Well, 1, I don't like being called basic, Nick. But 2, I was brought up on their second place is the first loser. If you want If you want to champion and enjoy losing, that's up to you. There's 20 teams in the league. The only one that wins it is the winner. 2-0 to Chelsea. Cole Palmer again. He's done it again. Chelsea are rampant here. They are absolutely rampant. I can see them getting 6th place. I really can. They finally seem to have, you know, clicked into... I mean, they've got Man City on Saturday. But they won't beat them. But they seem to have a bit of momentum, Chelsea, at long last. I mean, Everton could just be shit, but... Conor Gallagher... No, it wasn't Conor Gallagher. It was Mudryk. Mudryk taking it to the byline. I mean, to be honest with you, Everton's right-hand side is like an episode of Dad's Army. You've got Seamus Coleman, who's 92, and Ashley Young, who's 87. So the fact that Everton are still picking Seamus Coleman and Ashley Young is terrifying in a Premier League game, but Chelsea have certainly taken advantage. 2-0 here already. But yeah, going back to Nick P's point, do you agree with him that it doesn't matter who wins the league and dominates it? It's about the competition below. I mean, look, it's all about different opinions. I personally think it's irrelevant how much competition there is below first place if first place is known before the season starts. You know, it's about who wins, isn't it? And knowing the winner before it's even started, I don't think that makes a league interesting. So basically what Nick is saying is that we should enjoy the Premier League for who comes 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Biggest advantage City have is their ability to convince near world-class players to sit on a bench. People forget about their wage bill, says Rami. Did you see any former United players becoming world-class managers like Xavi or Arteta, says Mrs. Stone? No, not really. No. I thought Juan Mata might and still could. I think he's got the brain and the personality to do it, but should Pickford even be an England place, as Gazzy? I've never wanted Pickford to be England number 1. The problem is, who should be? Where will United finish this season, says Jack? I can see United. I could see United as low as 9th. I think we're going to drift. I do think we're going to drift. Yeah. Hi, Mark. Arsenal supporter, but I've always enjoyed your commentary. If you could support a Serie A team like United, who would it be? Well, Manuel, I've always followed Serie A. It's one of them things you might not know about me, but I was a kid when Italia 90 happened, and I fell in love with Italian football after that. Also, there's Italian in my family, so I've always loved Italian food as well. But also, in the early 90s, we used to get Serie A on the TV. So I've always loved Italian football. So Juventus is my team. But I have a soft spot for Sampdoria because I loved Mancini and Vialli. Juventus is my team. But, I mean, look, I wouldn't really say, I follow Juventus results. That would be my Italian team. But when you used to be watching the highlights and you see like Signori and Del Piero and, Batistuta and, players like that, and they used to have the best. The thing is, Serie A used to be the Premier League, used to be the best league in the world. They took Gaza from our league. They took David Platt. They took Paul Ince. From probably 1990 to the late 90s, Serie A was the league. So yeah. What if Arsenal or Liverpool still win the league, says Jide? Mate, if they win the league, I'll do a forfeit. There's no way Man City are going to lose this now. I thought Man City were going to win it anyway, so. Did you back a Grand National horse at the weekend, says Emily? Well, I'll let the chat decide that, because if you know, you know. My prediction was the winner, who apparently was the favourite, so I didn't know that. Let's get... Why is this stats carousel not going round at all? I'm a bit confused here with the Chelsea situation. Oh, so Chelsea still have a game in hand on Man United and Newcastle. So they can level up if they win their game in hand. Is that right? No, they've got this wrong. I'm confused. Is this as it stands, this league table? No, it's not. I'm confused. Oh, come on. As it stands, Chelsea... No, Chelsea have got 47 and they've still got a game in hand, yeah? Yeah, okay. So Chelsea, as it stands, are 3 points behind Newcastle and Man United, and they've got a game in hand. Thank you. Premier League is a top league because of how far teams go in European tournaments. Other leagues with different winners are just exciting within their country, says Jose. But English teams haven't dominated the Champions League or the Europa League. Chelsea are... What's Chelsea's next few games, Mark? Okay. Well, obviously they're playing Man City. They've got Arsenal away, Villa away, Tottenham at home, West Ham at home, Forest away, Brighton away, Bournemouth at home. Nick P says, I wasn't calling you basic, Mark. Mate, I was joking. I mean, it's a more complex argument. Take relegation battles even with other leagues has such an exciting end. Well, I don't think our relegation battles are exciting, mate. We could basically see the 3 teams that came up go down. And that happens most years as well. Mark, Man United could finish as low as 9th. Ten Hag has to go. We've reached rock bottom, says JS. Matt says the Serie A is a league blighted by match fixing, racism and half-empty stadiums. Is different winners the only criteria for a good league, says Matt. Well, I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I can't believe you think the Premier League is the best league in the world, and I suppose the Premier League and Man City will fucking love you. I can't believe you think that the Premier League is the best league in the world when we've got a team that is massively got everything in their favour and has won 6 of the last 7. But I suppose you're the gullible lot that allow it to grow. It's incredible to me. I think we need to wake up about, and also, can I just say as well, the team that keeps winning the league has got 115 charges against it. I mean, is that not an integrity issue? I mean, it's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing how they hype up this league every week. Oh, the Premier League. Watch the Premier League this weekend. It's this weekend, the Premier League. It's big. It's live. The Premier League. It's the best league in the world. Oh, is that the league where the team that keeps winning it's got 115 charges against them and has had for the last 2 seasons? It's amazing what propaganda and PR can do, isn't it? Jamie Carragher was on about this the other day and he's absolutely spot on. It's almost like you can't mention it. Don't mention it. It's not allowed to be mentioned. But look, all I want is for them charges to be dropped or brought. I think that's all we want. I don't think they're going to get done. I think they're going to get off with it. But I think for the good of the league, we need it to disappear because not that I've got a lot of time for Manchester City, but I've got a bit of time for some of their fans. I know a few of their fans, which is probably all of them if you think about it. But it's a joke. Like, it needs to get resolved. Any thoughts on Wrexham promotion to League One? So Spin. It's interesting. I said to Ben Foster at the start of the season, they're going to get promoted straight away. And he was like, I don't know. It's a tough league. I said they'll get promoted straight away. And lo and behold, they've done it. I think they'll get promoted again. I think they're going to go into the Championship. James Garner's just been booked for a foul on Cole Palmer. I think it was a fair booking. Premier League is the most fun, not necessarily the best, says Matthias. Mark, the Premier League's a joke. I'm glad you finally came round, says I'm all in. I just think it's, you know what? It is a bit of an epiphany, but I think the Premier League needs calling out. It's got the officiating isn't just bad, it's incompetent. The dominance of Manchester City is terrifying. It's 6 out of 7. I think it's going to end up being 9 out of 10. So that's a concern. The gap between the Championship and the Premier League is getting bigger and bigger, which we saw in the FA Cup. The only team that's really done any damage is Coventry, and you'd have expected a lot more of them to do that. What a goal. Cole Palmer hat-trick. We're witnessing greatness here. We are witnessing greatness. 28-minute hat-trick. We you know, I don't say those words lightly. We are witnessing greatness here. I mean, yes, Jordan Pickford makes a mistake, but the ability to hit this straight away, and the outside of the boot as well. Oh, he hits this with the outside of the boot. This is what I'm talking about. The technical ability of this player is unbelievable. Was it the outside of the boot? Was it the inside of the boot? No, it was the inside of the boot. I thought he cut across it for a moment. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's just absolutely incredible. Yes, you're going to have a shot. Yes, Pickford's a prat. But the finish is incredible. I mean, this lad. I think he's got to be in the argument for Player of the Season. How many goals has he got in the Premier League now? He's got to be. He's got to be. He's got to be up there for Player of the Season. Chelsea are shit. They've been absolutely shit this season. He's one behind Erling Haaland. Unbelievable. He's got 19 Premier League goals. He should be winning Premier League. He should be winning Player of the Year. People will go Foden. I mean, that's a joke. Phil Foden plays in Man City, who are a juggernaut and the best team in the world. He's doing this for Chelsea. He's also got 9 assists. He's only one behind Trippier, Watkins and Gross with 10. 19 goals and 9 assists. One off the Golden Boot. Incredible. We are witnessing something very special. He's got to be Player of the Season. I'm starting that now. He's got to be. He has to be. He absolutely epitomises what the Player of the Year award should be. It's not about the best player in the league. It's about the best player in the season in the circumstances. He epitomises what Player of the Year should be. He's got 19 goals in a crap Chelsea side. He's one behind Erling Haaland, the best striker in the world. He's got 9 assists, one behind the top assister in a terrible Chelsea side. He's got to win Player of the Year. M. Parker says, I've solved the referee issue. Check their family's betting activity. Ooh. Lee says, it's Lee's son. Are you managing in the Sidemen charity match? Says Lee. I don't know. I never know until right before it, mate, so I don't know. The Premier League is turning into F1, a financially dodgy team winning every year. It's boring, says Sink. Crazy how bad Chelsea have been this season. United might actually finish below them. Well, we've been pretty bad as well, Lee. We have. Cole Palmer single-handedly carrying Chelsea this season. Changed my mind, says Mrs. Stone. Well, yeah. Yeah. Arturo says there's actually a petition I saw on Twitter to ban United stand getting credentials to United. A lot morons disliking me when they never met or talked to you. Oh, mate, you know what? If it makes them happy, we just won't go. It's really not that deep. I mean, just have a grown-up conversation. You don't need to do a petition. If some Man United fans don't want us to go to a press conference, have a grown-up conversation like people did with us about fan cams, and we stopped doing them. Like, just grow up. Stop being a hater and just grow up. If you don't want the United stand to go into press conferences and ask questions on behalf of fans, and you'd rather stick with Luckhurst and co, we'll stop doing it. It's absolutely fine. We were approached by a fan group about fan cams during COVID, and they said we really don't like them. They're damaging to the fan base. And we had a conversation, and I said, to be honest with you, I don't like them either. We're going to stop doing them. So if people don't want us to go into a press conference, fine, we won't do it. But what I would say is a lot of people like us being in it, and it's for our community. So I'm not a bloody mind reader. I'm not a mind reader. It's nothing to do with us being in the press conference. It's to do with bitterness and jealousy because they're not doing it at the end of the day. Hi, Mark. I support Chelsea and I've just moved to Wrexham area. I'm a glory hunter if I choose Wrexham as my second team. Well, you do live there, John. Perfect hat-trick, left foot, right foot and a header, says Dylan. Just a fantastic player, Dylan. What about dodgy Chelsea under Abramovich, Mark, says Terence. Man City fumbled it with Palmer completely, Mark, says Dan. You know what? Here's a hot take for you. This fits in perfectly with what I'm talking about. The Premier League is absolutely boring. Man City have won 6 out of the last 7. They've got the best manager. They've got 3 of the best players in the world. They've got massive money. Everton have just scored a really good goal. I'll come back to this. Really, oh, he's offside. What a shame for Beto. It would have been a really good goal, but he's got himself into it. Oh, he's miles off as well. What is he doing? What is he doing? It's a great, very good goal, but he's miles off. The thing is, he wasn't offside when he scored the header, but he starts from an offside position. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. So, the Premier League is really boring, but we get it rammed down our throat that it's really exciting. How can it be exciting when a team has won 6 of the last 7? They've got the best manager. They've got 3 of the best players in the world. They've got the best squad in the world. They've got the best finances in the world. And they're going to dominate for years and years and years to come. People say they dropped the ball with Chelsea. That just actually is another reason why it's so boring in the Premier League. They haven't dropped the ball with Cole Palmer. They can afford to let Cole Palmer go to Chelsea and be Player of the Year and still win the league and still have a massive squad. That's how dominant and far ahead they are. They haven't made a mistake. If Liverpool let Cole Palmer go, it would be a mistake. If Arsenal let him go, it would be a mistake. But Man City are so bloody good, they can let Cole Palmer go to Chelsea and potentially be Player of the Year, and it doesn't cause them any problems because they're so far ahead. It doesn't cause Pep any sleepless nights at all. They don't miss Cole Palmer because they're already bloody dominating and so good. If ever there is an example about how boring this league has become, it's the fact that Man City can let Cole Palmer go and it doesn't cause them any problems at all because they're just so far ahead. Man City's youth system is unbelievable, by the way. They've got so many good young players that will never play for Man City. That they make... Chelsea have got to sell good players to raise money. Man City are absolutely... well-oiled machine is a bit of a pun. But the way that club is run, they're going to dominate for years. You know the homegrown player where you make pure profit? City have got a conveyor belt of players that they can sell to Southampton, West Ham, for 10, 20, 30 million that will never get anywhere near the first team. That's just 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 million of revenue coming in every year on top of everything else. It's not an obsession with City, Steve. It's a reality. This is not about bitterness, saltiness or anything else. You've won 6 of the last 7. You're probably going to win 6 of the next 7. You are so far ahead of everybody. When Man United won the treble, it was unbelievable. Nobody could believe it had been done. Man City could win a double treble because they're so far ahead. It's not a level playing field, Stevie. This is not a level playing field, and it's very, very far from it. And we'll never get that level playing field. I mean, to be honest with you, part of me wishes financial fair play would fuck off, because Newcastle would be able to compete with them if they were allowed to do it like Man City could. Because, you know, people say Arsenal and Liverpool have bottled it. They've exceeded taking it to April, is the truth. They've got nowhere near the quality of player or squad that they've got. Could be an argument for player of the season, but not young player of the season, says Blues. I've solved the referee. I've done that one. Thank you very much. Do you think Cole Palmer should start in the Euros, says Aaron? Oh, 100%. You've got to find a place. Well, I don't know where he starts, but you've got to be looking to find a place for him. Aidan says, hi, Mark. Seeing the performance of Pickford has me worried for England. Capacities, I think it's the major weakness of the squad. The thing about Pickford is, where would you go? Ramsdale doesn't play. Pope's been injured. Pickford has to play because there's nobody else. Mrs. Stone says, if you go to the press conference, please ask this. What is the entire fan base missing to see what he's seeing in Rashi? I don't know. I mean, it would be a very good question. Everton fan here, says Michael. Hope you're well. I can't find a place to watch the game. How are Everton doing? Also, most Everton fans I know don't rate Beto, says Michael. Yeah, he's not. He's not good enough, Beto. He reminds me of somebody, actually, Beto. He really reminds me of somebody. And I think it's a striker that used to play for them. No, he reminds me of Iheanacho, who ultimately I just don't think is good enough to be a Premier League striker. Yeah, he his movements, he's not quick. That's why he gets caught offside all the time. He's just not intelligent enough in his positional sense. It's very easy to defend against because he keeps getting himself offside. Bring back Goldio, bring Ben back for the Euros. Ben Foster. I think he'll be busy, mate. Thank you very much for the super chats, though. Up the Villa, says Ryan. What a result yesterday, Ryan. What a result yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. We're only 10 away from 134,000. Oh, my God. I tell you what, Everton is Beto again. He's absolute shit. He's just missed another open goal. Tarkovsky's saying he should have had a penalty. Oh, no, he can't get that. It's gone for a corner. It's funny that Tarkovsky's basically saying it should be a penalty because he's pulling my shirt all the way. And he is pulling his shirt all the way. But obviously, I don't think it's a penalty. It would be soft. But then I think about the Man City game at Old Trafford. Højlund hardly touches Rodri. Penalty. You know, again, best team in the world. Best squad in the world, best manager in the world, best finances in the world, best youth system in the world, and referees give them loads of help. Branthwaite's been absolutely humiliated by Cole Palmer here. Not now. I mean on the goal. Let me know your weekends. Oh, actually, let's bring back Agony Bridge as well. So you can tell me what you did this weekend, and I'll rank them. And also, if you've got any... I saw Mini Minter do this on Instagram today. Confessions. I don't want confessions about what you've been up to with your rabbit or something like that. But if you've got any funny confessions you want to share with us, let us know. What did you think about Wazza on Girth and Turf, says Flop? I saw the tweet. I don't watch it. I don't watch it anymore. Would you... I played pro clubs for about 2 weeks when I was like really into it, and then I've just, you know, hopefully the bubble doesn't burst with it because it's been good fun for them, but I'm just not interested anymore. Havard says something. I wonder who is the best player between Jackson and Nunez on Liverpool. The last one has more goals and assists, but come on, what do you think, says Harvard Egg? Well, I'll do a poll for you, mate. I mean, I know what the answer is, but the fact that, you know, you've took your time to ask me about this, who's better, Nunez or Jackson? I'm not going to drop any hints. I know what I think. Apparently, Chelsea need to sell Gallagher for FFP. Do you think he's a player United go for? Conor Gallagher in a Man United midfield would be like having prime Makaleli. Whatever you think about Conor Gallagher, he is absolute... Beto's offside again here. He's way better than anything United have got. Hopefully Chelsea play like this against City, says Arturo. Da Vinci says, are you a hypocrite? You have to tell me what I'm a hypocrite about. It's not for me to judge if I'm a hypocrite. You have to give me some facts or opinion. What division should Man City be if they get relegated? 4-0. Jackson. Well, does that change your mind? 4-0 after 44 minutes. Wow. And perfectly timed. Pickford is England's best keeper by a mile, says Stewart. He's picking up the net, ball out the net for the 4th time in 44 minutes. 4-0. I mean, I haven't watched Everton for a few weeks, but definitely on side there. Yeah, I haven't watched Everton for a few weeks, but God, their defence is terrible. I mean, how Jackson gets to control that in the box and get a shot off. I mean, it's a good goal by Chelsea, but I'm looking at that defensively and I'm going... Three players near him and he gets a shot off. Yeah, you should not be allowed to do that. You should not be allowed to do that. He's done well, but he should not be allowed to do that. Bet it wasn't boring when Man United won 8 out of 11 from 92 to 03, says Dope. 8 out of 11 is a bit different to 6 out of 7, mate. And also, our title races were a lot closer than yours. We weren't winning nearly every bloody game. Like, we were winning the title with, like, probably about 80 points. You win nearly every bloody game. We won one of our titles from 12 points behind. And we did it without 115 charges as well. Mark, did it bother you that Ben had his legs out again on your sit down with him today? Matt, I've threatened to go. But the trouble is the weather's getting warmer now. Losing the league to Man City is like losing the Tour de France to Lance Armstrong, says Brian. That's a good one. That is a good one. 5 minutes added on here, 4-0. I don't think Everton are going to come back. I have to take some responsibility here. I'm not going to lie. Two Wheel Warrior says, did Mark not say Everton was going to win this game? Yeah. You know when you make a prediction, the definition of a prediction is you don't know the outcome. You're just giving an opinion. I'm wrong. Nobody can predict every game of football, by the way. If they did, they'd be a multi-millionaire. 3 goals for Palmer, 1 goal for Jackson. Adichie says, are we really going for Branthwaite? I mean, Branthwaite's had a bad game. There's no doubt about it. But book titles that will never be released. Winning the league by Michael Arteta and My Experience as a Blues Fan in the Premier League by Will Brazier. Both very good ones, Goldio. Winning the title on a shoestring by Manchester City. 115 Reasons Why We're the Best Team in the World by Man City. But we're doing book titles that will never get written. Onside by Beto. With a forward by Marcus Rashford. Don't laugh at your own jokes. I'm surprised you're able to speak after Ben Loki endorsed Gareth for the job, says Fax. Look, you know what? I've met some fantastic ex-players who are really nice people, and I'd put Ben Foster in that category. But a lot of ex-players I've met, I just, there's legends at Manchester United who I wouldn't ask for advice on football. Like, I just because you've played the game, I'd say, on balance, most ex-players, in my experience, don't really have as good a knowledge as you lot have got around certainly European football, coaching, players. And I think that's because they're quite tunnel-visioned. They're mates' rates because they know a lot of players, and they're biased. They seem to be very biased around British things as well, which I've never really understood. The mistake people make is just because somebody's a legend as a player, they think that they've got more ball knowledge than them. Look at Gerrard. Look at Lampard. They're terrible coaches. Brilliant footballers, but I wouldn't ask Gerrard for advice on what player we should sign from Leipzig or Leverkusen. He'd be better off asking Bateson. At least he plays the game. Finishing in the top 6 by Man United, says Ross. Literally just finished in there last year, Ross. That's a crap one. Book titles will they never get written? That literally could have get written last fucking summer. Come on. Do better. I cannot believe I'm using money on this super chat, but you have to blow your nose, says Havard. No, I don't. It's blocked. Do you agree Eric Ten Hag is immediate? It's half time, by the way. It's 4-0. Let's have a look at those stats in a moment. Can I pause that, please? Yes, you can. Oh, I paused it on the wrong one. Absolute joke. I can't believe that. How I Went to Old Trafford by Mark Goldbridge, says Dalibor. Again, hilariously inaccurate. I've probably been to Old Trafford more times than you, and I've actually played there. And 5 of the times are on video, so that's 5 more than you. High five. Went to Retire by Ashley Young, says Fraser. How to Draw a Line by VAR, says Rob Pennington. The Dangers of Sucking Toes by Paul Scholes, says Goldio. Short People Problems by Peter Crouch, says Manuel. Da Vinci, I haven't answered your question. Do I agree that Ten Hag is a mediocre manager who throws good players under the bus because he's a coward? Well, I think if you were judging him against Bournemouth, you're probably quite accurate. But I don't want Ten Hag to get sacked, so I'm not going to endorse that entirely. Is there a team you actively want to go down, says Books? The only team I want to get relegated is Man City. Yeah. Without thinking about Maguire's career at United, was he better at Leicester than Branthwaite at Everton? Feel like we might go down the same path, says Robert. No, they're very different players. I mean, Branthwaite's actually left-footed. He's more mobile. And he's still ridiculously young. So you're judging a finished Maguire, because we know what his career has been, with potential in Branthwaite. On the Nunez-Jackson thing, it's closer than I thought. Nunez has got 65% and Jackson's got 35%. I think Darwin Nunez is completely and utterly on a different level to Jackson, in my opinion. I'm surprised I've done that one I've done that one as well. Thank you very much. Really good. Hi, Mark. I'm from Leeds, says Sonny. Was wondering if Leeds, Ipswich and Leicester go up, who do you think will stay up and who do you think will go down? Sonny, I think the Premier League's boring. I will give you my Premier League predictions for next season a month before this one's over. So next season, Man City will win the league comfortably. And next season, whoever gets promoted will be the 3 favourite to go down. And the Premier League have created this. They've created this monster by allowing Man City to do what they've done, and by making the gap between the Premier League and the Championship become unsustainable. So basically, Man City are going to win the league next year, and the 3 up who come up will go down. I just can't, unless Luton stay up. If Luton stay up, they might be vulnerable to stay up next year. But even then, who knows? Goldbridge and Southgate, the love story. Yeah, that's never getting written. Samuel Luckhurst is a low-level Glazer journalist, says Terence. And also 2020 Vision by Stevie Wonder, says Goldio. Don't you remember the season before when all 3 teams stayed up? It's just the 3 teams promoted this season were very bad. It's a strike bolt. Well, if you actually do your homework, mate, if you look at the promoted and relegated teams over the last 10 years, the vast majority of them, I think might even be 90%, are parachute payment clubs. So basically what happens is most of the teams that go up, go down, come back, go back. But I genuinely think that what's happening now is that it's so difficult to get promoted and stay up now. Like even teams like Brentford, Bournemouth, they're not vulnerable to going down. They by staying up in the Premier League, they've been able to use that money to buy internationals. So that when you get promoted, you know, Leeds are a big name, Leicester are a big name. But when they come up, they're coming up with Championship players. And unless they can get, you know, 2 or 3, 4 proven Premier League players in quickly, then they're going to struggle. Why is no one talking about 115 charges for City? Says Gaurav. I think we spent most of the show talking about it. Swaroop, I don't even know if you're joking. Okay, it's been deleted anyway, so yeah, we'll just move you out. Goldbridge consider therapy. I have to be very careful. Like, you know, there are people who are, it's not Sunday, it's Monday. Get on with your lives. You shouldn't be hanging around on here. Jealousy. Like, go and watch EastEnders or something. What a boring one-sided game. Well, I just enjoy the chat. How much impact do you think you have on the Man United dressing room now, Mark? Know that your channel is growing. Absolutely none, Da Vinci. None. Absolutely none. This weird modern phenomenon. Dele Alli. I don't mean he's a weird... That's just bad timing. I don't mean Dele Alli is a weird modern phenomenon. Although... No, I don't. But this weird modern phenomenon that fan content is the devil is absolutely hilarious. And it's why I ignore it, because anybody who's of a certain age, the media are terrified of fans. They always have been. Because the fans are the people that keep them in a job. Fans buy the subscriptions. Fans used to buy the newspapers. But fans have never had a voice. So 30 years ago, you'd get a journalist in The Sun. The Sun was probably selling 10 million copies a day because the internet didn't exist. And that one journalist could basically put their one opinion to 10 million people. They could say, Gaza's shit, and 10 million people would read it and be influenced by it. And there was no comeback for the fans. And in the modern day, fans have got a voice. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And they're terrified of it. They're absolutely terrified of it. And so what do? They try and destroy it. They try and say it's toxic, it's negative. It's absolute bollocks. I was on the terrace as a kid. You know, I've been going to football grounds all my life. Some of the stuff you used to hear in the late 80s and early 90s, unbelievable. I've seen Ryan Giggs regularly booed at Old Trafford. People don't even understand it. Unless you were at Old Trafford at the time, people were like, what are you on about? He did. It used to happen. People get frustrated with him at Old Trafford, the faithful. They did. And only if you were there, you would know that. We loved him, but people got frustrated with him. The mainstream media, Graham Taylor, England manager, on the front of the paper had a turnip on top of his head. They were vile. The mainstream were vile. They hacked people's phones. You know, and yet fan content is the devil. And yet the mainstream have been way worse over the years. So I find it laughable that the mainstream try and put these stories out there to diminish what honest, hard-working people do in their spare time a lot of the time, because they're jealous of it. But more fool the idiot who believes it. City hired best UK barrister, paying him £90,000 a day. He sued Boris over suspending Parliament and won. Also defended him over Partygate. Goldio, they're getting off. I'd prepare for that. But what I will say about Man City, and we can move on, is that whether they get off or they don't, if they get off, everyone will say, they're innocent. They're innocent. That's fine. But it's not even about innocence or guilt. Manchester City were a poor club with no money. And Abu Dhabi came in and injected billions. And with those billions, they've dominated English football. That's a fact. Whether doing that they've broken the rules or not, that is a fact. Man City were nothing, and Abu Dhabi pumped money in and made them the best team in the world. That is a fact. No one can argue with that. You can't undo that now because no one else is allowed to do it. So the dominance of the Premier League is because the Premier League are thick, because they allowed one club to do something no one else is now allowed to do. And because that one club's done it, no one else can do it. So every club in the Premier League is fighting with two arms tied behind the back, while Man City is sit there living off what they did. And it matters not. I mean, if the charges come in, they'll get punished. But if they don't come in, they've still been allowed to do something that no one else can now do. It very much is like Formula One. You know, you've got Red Bull, whose car is just quicker than everybody else's for whatever reason. And nobody can catch them up. But people obsess about the 115, but, you know, you're missing the point. Nobody's allowed to do what Man City have done anyway, so you can't catch up. What were your thoughts on Kanchelskis? He was my favourite United player growing up. Fantastic player, Matt. Played for Everton as well. Bottled so many games and are still on the same points with United. Why you talk about us like you're miles clear, says Sean Deitch. Open your eyes. Sean, I haven't spoken about Chelsea at all. I think you're on the wrong channel. Or you're pissed. I have been to San Siro, Bernabeu and derbies in Sweden. The fan culture is amazing. Do you have any good fan culture experiences? Says Killen. No, don't really want to talk about it either. Don't go to games. Don't support Man United. Fake fan. So, yeah. If that's what you're getting at, Killen, I'm not thick. Please, Mark, just take the manager job. Save Man United, says Judah. And I'd take Alonso over Southgate. And I'm talking Fernando Alonso, the F1 driver, says Parker. My boy was a mascot for the Chelsea Man United game, had a great day, and although a Chelsea fan, love your content. Do you think we can get conference spots, says Shane? Well, Shane, have a word with that twat Chelsea fan down there, because I don't know what he's on about. The way Chelsea played today, I can see them getting 6th place. Yeah. Eduardo says, book titles that'll never get written. Winning a Sidemen charity match by Mark Goldbridge. And they see, now you've crossed the line. Now, that actually has rattled me. There's no need for that, Eduardo, because as anybody will know who understands the Sidemen charity match, it's got the name of the team in it that wins. It's not called the Goldbridge All-Stars charity match or the YouTube All-Stars charity match. It's called the Sidemen charity match, and I manage the other team. You know what? The cards are stacked very much against us. If that was on a level playing ground, or I manage the Sidemen, we win. Simple as that. Or I was allowed to play outfield, we'd win. I'm not allowed to play outfield, and I'm not allowed to pick the team. So basically, I'm like, the Sidemen are like Man City, and I'm like Man United. No, I'm like Man United with a good manager. Sidemen 115, yeah. Mark, if Poch wins the FA Cup this year, I mean, look, they put KSI in goal, who can play in goal, and they put the other lad in goal, who plays on Twitch. Like, I was literally there on the pitch teaching him the rules of football, and what to do with your hands in a goalkeeping sense, nothing else. Mark, if Poch wins the FA Cup, bless him, he had a good go. People misconstrued my, frustration at that. It wasn't aimed at him. Mark, if Poch wins the FA Cup this year, will you take back your negative comments on him and will you admit he is better than Ten Hag? No. I think Poch is overrated and I'd love him to win the FA. Well, I'd love him to beat Man City. Poch is overrated by the media. How to Change the Culture at a Club by Ineos, says Nelly. A book that will never get written. 8th is looking real, honestly, painful, says Tiago. Look, if you're a Man United fan in pain, all I'm going to say to you is, Man United, even if Chelsea win their game in hand, Chelsea, Man United and Newcastle will be on the same points. Man United's next 2 league games are Sheffield United and Burnley at home. If we don't win 6 points from those games, then we may as well just give up. We can't get relegated. We may as well just give up. Sheffield United and Burnley are 2 of the worst teams the Premier League has ever seen. So that should be 6 points for us. Now, I know people will clip that and say famous last words, but look, if Man United win the next 2 games, it takes us to 56 points. If we want to get 6th place, it's not like we're playing Man City every week. Mark, if you had to pick United's next manager, who are you taking? Says PDS. Well, can I take anyone, or have I got to take realism? I mean, if I've got to go realistic, I'd do everything I could to get Amrim or Nagelsmann. If I don't have to be realistic, I would try and get. Well, I'm not going to get Pep, and I'm not going to get Klopp, and I'm not going to get Arteta. I'll probably try Emery from the Prem, or Ancelotti from Real Madrid. Yeah, I don't think there's a hell of a lot out there at the moment. I really don't. So for me, dream would be Ancelotti. Realistic would be Nagelsmann. Yeah. What about Zidane? No, I like Zidane, but I don't buy the hype. Zidane is not a builder of clubs. Zidane is a project manager, and the project needs to be in place. We need a project builder. We need Bob the Builder. Vivek says, one thing I can't tolerate is when a British fan says to me, go support your country clubs. Fans from all over the world make your club so big. Sorry I wasn't born a millionaire in London. What are your thoughts, says Vivek? I think that anybody that tells you who to support or you're not a real fan really belongs in the 80s with every other ism out there, because it's baffling. I was out last summer and got into a conversation with somebody who said, who do you support? They didn't know the United stand, which is always quite nice actually. And I said Man United, and they started going on about, why don't you support your local? And I said, well, where are we now? And he said, Birmingham. And I said, well, this is where I live. Well, go and support Villa or Birmingham. I said, but I didn't live here 10 years ago. Well, where were you born? Nottinghamshire. Well, what's your closest club? Leicester. Well, you should support Leicester. But I lived in Nottinghamshire. We should support Forest or County. So straight away, you've told me to support 4 different clubs, and you've only known me for 2 minutes. And why do I have to support? Why do I have to support a team on locality? My granddad supports Man United. My dad supports Chelsea. Why do they support them? I don't fucking know. It's not. They do. That's who they support. I think what you should never do is be supporting multiple teams or changing your mind when you get to an age where you're mature enough to make a decision and stick with it. And what I mean by that is, I know people who started supporting Arsenal at 14. One of them supported West Ham until they were 14 and then supported Arsenal. Now, some people would say that's too late, but actually, they're a really big Arsenal fan. So it's not Robbie, don't worry. So I think that the locality of who you support is just ridiculous. And then you've got fans who live outside the UK, so they're allowed to support Arsenal because they live outside the UK. But a UK living person in Bristol can't support Arsenal because they need to support Bristol City. It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Sorry, I thought I'd lost my live chat there. I wasn't talking because I had no one to talk to and I'd finished the conversation. What about Xavi? Would you take him at United to Samuel? I don't see what Xavi offers us that Ten Hag doesn't. I mean, obviously Ten Hag is failing at the moment, but I just don't think it's a big enough step up. You know, when we went from Van Gaal to Mourinho, you can understand it. I just think, you know, we're sort of, I've said this before, we're sort of scratching around now. We've tried the Mourinhos, the Van Gaals, the ex-player, you know, the hipster in Ten Hag. You know, you're going around the block again, aren't you? You're going around the block again. It's like, you know, trying to find the perfect person to marry, isn't it? You end up trying all sorts of personalities, etc., and then, you know, you end up starting to repeat the same thing. My mate supports Arsenal and Rangers. Is that row piece, says Liam. No, I know loads of people who support Celtic and Liverpool, or Celtic and United. Who are the worst fans you've encountered, says Jack? Honestly, I think there's good and bad in every fan base. I think the biggest eye opener for me was that when I started doing this, I never realised until started doing it that people in your own fan base can be so toxic. I just didn't. I just assumed, you know, United fans were all part of the family, you know. No, not at all. Not at all. But I know Man City fans who are absolutely fantastic. I know Arsenal fans who are fantastic. Liverpool fans who are fantastic. I know a lot of United fans who are fantastic. But I also know United fans who are horrible. Era's come to an end by Ten Hag, says Cameron. My mates have done that one. Mark, people who say you have to support your local team are all NPCs. They usually have Union Jacks in their bios. Also, it's embarrassing, says I'm all in. Exit strategy by the Arsenal Supporters Trust, says JNCO. Emery won't suit United, Mark. Villa till he dies. Well, he ain't going to leave. He ain't going to leave. I spoke about it on the podcast. Yes, lads, UTV. Emery won't leave Villa. I saw that Pratt Goldstein, some clip on the radio saying that Emery would go to Man United. He wouldn't. He wouldn't. You know why he wouldn't go? Because he's had a big club at Arsenal. They chewed him up and spat him out. He went back to Spain, rebuilt his CV, and then Villa took a chance on him and gave him the power and the freedom to build something. And there's just no way Emery is going to repay that, you know, faith by going to another big club that might chew him up and spit him out. And the fact that Goldstein or anyone else thinks that that would happen is massively disrespectful to Villa, but it's also massively disrespectful to Emery. The only way that that deal would happen is if Man United got in contact with Villa and Villa said, let's talk. And it would cost a lot of money. But look, Villa are going to... And also, Villa will be in the Champions League next year. Man United won't. If you're Unai Emery, I'm like, I got them in the Champions League. I want to experience that Champions League with this club. Just bought tickets to Man United versus Rosenborg in the summer. Hope they can get a win, says Sin. Will Chelsea get back in the European spots, says Christopher. Chelsea are capable of finishing 6th if they finish the season like this. But any Chelsea fan will tell you it's the consistency. I mean, look, the mad thing about Chelsea is it's the amount of points they've dropped at home. Thank you very much. Time for a stretch. I don't even know if I've had a stretch today. That's too long to be sat down. 9 yellow cards for Tarkowski. He's had a crap game today. Stretch. What's this? Oh, I've just seen that. I've just seen a clip by Sidemen saying, should they have a match against Girth and Turf, 11 versus 11? Oh, I'll tell you what, I'd better be bloody be involved in that because I was an original. How many good players have we got, though? Me, Philly. That's about it. Ginger's a good player, actually. I don't know about the others. I don't know. I don't know what H and the rest are like. Palmer. Oh, Pickford makes a good save there. Could have been 5. Rooney could play. Rooney would be very good. Yes. I forgot about Rooney, yeah. Tony, being as you swore, go fuck yourself. And you won't be able to reply. Yeah. There's a few people saying you stick to pro clubs. When you think about it, you get battered. I can sort of see what you're talking about without being offensive. Who do you think will win the World Snooker Championship? Watch along for the finals, says Ben. I never do. I like snooker, but I'd never do a watch along. Bloody hell. Yeah, tomorrow night we've got watch alongs every night this week until Friday. Not got one on Friday. Touchline Decorum by Mikel Arteta, says Kenneth. How much points from United last 4, says Tiago. Man United have got 6 to go, mate. Yeah. Matthew Corbett says, do you think Burnley will come straight back up? They'll definitely come straight back up, yeah. Definitely going to come straight back up. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely none. Anyway, Bazinga plays for Girth and Turf, so how would that work? And he'd be a welcome addition on an outfield. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan will win the snooker, by the way, Ben. Kyle needs Conor Gallagher to get a yellow card for his builder bet. Thrown under the bus by Alejandro Garnacho, says Tony. Well, you know what? I was talking about this on the United Stand, but obviously we're doing a watch-along here. So in general, we'll have a lot of people watching here who aren't Man United fans. We'll have a lot of people who are Man United fans. So Garnacho liked a tweet at the weekend from somebody. He deleted that like within a few hours. It's a non-story, really, but the mainstream and certain Man United outlets have turned it into a big story. What are your thoughts on that? Because my thoughts on it are, he's 19, and when I was 19, if I was playing football for Man United or Liverpool or whatever, I think I'd probably like tweets I shouldn't like. I'd probably like other things I shouldn't be liking. I just don't think it's that deep. And I think as a manager, I'd take the apology and just move on very, very quickly because it's a good player that I need. Why is snooker and darts huge in the UK? Pub culture, says Nelly. I don't think snooker's is. I mean, I think darts has grown massively. I don't think snooker is as big. I'll tell you one thing I'd love to see come back: pool. I'd love to do a pool tournament because it's much more watchable than snooker. Chelsea just knocking the ball around nicely here. I mean, do we think Everton... I wanted to do this. Look at the stats there from that right now. 61% possession. Everton have only had one shot on target. Do we think that Everton could go down? I mean, I don't think they will at all. This is how it looks at the bottom. Luton are only 2 points off Everton, but Everton still have a game in hand on Forest and on Luton. I mean, Everton... I lose track of how many points Everton have lost. So they should have 36. So they've had 9 taken off them. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 9 is 36. So 9 draws. Yeah. So they've lost. No. Yeah. They've had 9. They've had. Is that right? Everton have had 9 points taken off them. I mean, look, 9 points. Everton shouldn't be going down. I mean, Everton shouldn't be going down anyway. 9 points is a lot to have taken off you. Now, look, we've spent a lot of time talking about 115 charges. You've got one team that's going to win the Premier League, and then you've got Everton, who've done far less, who might get relegated. So it just seems wrong. But besides that, do I think Everton are going to go down? I don't think they'll go down, but I have seen them a few times this season and thought they've been really shit. They've got a massive game against Forest on Sunday. It's a cup final, really. When you look at that league, they're 1 point apart. Everton Forest is probably one of the biggest games of the season. They've then got Liverpool at home midweek, and then they've got Brentford at home. Now, really, Everton shouldn't be going down because that's where they should be staying up. They should be taking 6, maybe even 7 points from that. But you'd certainly expect them to beat Forest and Brentford, and with those 6 points, I think they'd be safe. They have got to go to Luton, but they've also got Sheffield United at home. So I think Everton have enough games at home to stay up. Cash Talks Football says the media lie about everything. Stop listening to them. He's given a penalty. He's given a penalty. He took his time. I have to have a look at this. Great shout about Liverpool, Mark. My dad is amazing at pool. Oh, sorry. Great shout about pool, Mark. My dad is amazing at pool, and it's great to watch when somebody's good at it, says Cameron. If we did an influencer pool tournament, I'd fancy myself. I mean, I fancy myself anyway, but you know. Mark, does no contact work in getting Madueke? I thought it was a foul. I thought it was a foul on Cole Palmer. I don't think it's a foul on Madueke. That's not a foul. That's not a foul. It's a foul on Cole Palmer. Oh, that's never a penalty. Oh, bit of pushing and shoving between Jackson and Palmer. Palmer's pushing everyone away because he wants the penalty. He wants the golden boot, that's why. This will level him up. I don't think that's... You know what? I don't think that's a penalty. Look, Chelsea fans, it doesn't matter. You're going to win the game. But I don't think it's a penalty. I'll tell you what, the arguing over the penalty is very interesting because that's the testament to Cole Palmer and, you know, what he's all about. You know, he's got the pressure of the penalty, but he's also got people in his own team saying you're out of order. Oh, can you do a poll on whether it was a pen? Yeah. Was it a pen? Well, maybe I'm missing an angle on the Tarkowski one, because to me it looks like he wins the ball. Yeah, I mean, why has Pickford gone that way when Cole Palmer always seems to go the way he went? Jackson's not happy with Palmer. I must have missed something on the penalty. I put my hands up because 56% are saying no, but 44% are saying yes. So I must have missed something there. I'll put my hands up. I didn't think it was a penalty. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Chelsea had a dodgy penalty in the last few weeks at Stamford Bridge, did it? But I thought that... I thought it just looked like a normal tackle. I don't know why Jackson's crying. He didn't want to take the penalty, did he? I mean, great result for Chelsea, by the way. 5-0 up, 25 minutes to go. Should Pickford be England's number one if relegated, says Ben? Well, he will be. I don't think that will change anything. Just a reminder, Mark, score update needed, says Morgan. I've not updated this in years. It's done for us. It's all automated. Make sure you download the OneFootball app. Thank you very much for them sponsoring the stream and the stats carousel, which is going round for you. Download it for free. Links in the description or scan the QR code. And don't forget to listen to the podcast. Scan the QR code. It's bang out new today. Goldbridge Saves Football podcast. Loved it today. Some really good conversations. Michael Keane, I forgot he still played football. Got him right on the foot, to be fair. Good, that's good refereeing. Leroy Cooper says Palmer's ridiculous. Some player. He's now got the same amount of goals as Erling Haaland, but how many penalties has he scored? As a Chelsea fan, Madueke and Jackson arguing is pathetic and embarrassing. Just let the penalty taker take it, says Blues enthusiast. Well, I don't know what the argument's all about, really. Cole Palmer takes the penalties. And I presume Madueke or Jackson wanted to take it. But you're one goal behind Erling Haaland for the golden boot. Go fuck yourself. Like, no way am I in a generous mood. Like, you're not in a million years am I going to let you take that penalty just because it's 4-0. Uh, 50-50 on the penalty. So I almost feel like I need to see it again. I'm going to go back and watch it. I feel like I've missed something on that penalty. I mean, I know Palmer looked like he'd been fouled. There we go. Forearm in the face, his pass. Well, Madueke had the ball. It's funny watching the replay. Madueke had the ball. He was going to take it. Then Jackson wanted it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen it now. Watch Tarkovsky's hand. Yeah. I get it now. See, that's what you should do in life. That's what you should do in life. Get as many facts as you can before you start moaning. So basically, I'm following the ball. I'm looking at the tackle. The tackle's fine, but as he goes to tackle, he reaches out with his arm like that. So I ain't got a problem with it. Tom Clancy's right. He probably should have got a second yellow. How many penalties has he scored anyway, Palmer? If Watkins wins the Golden Boot, it would be incredible. No penalties because he's not our penalty taker. Other regular scoring penalties, different classes. Yes, lads, UTV. Great point. Great point. And he's got so many assists as a striker as well. Palmer's got 9 penalties. Yeah, so when you think about it like that, Watkins has got none. But he is a striker, I suppose. I'm going to close that poll. 54% of you said it was a penalty. 46% said no. Do you prefer Palmer playing on the Euros than Rashford, says Gallia? I mean, come on. I'm a Man United fan, but I'm also real. Like, there's no way. Anthony Gordon deserves to play ahead of Rashford. So Cole Palmer definitely does. Leroy says Palmer's ridiculous, some player. Hope you're well, Mark, and had a good Easter, says Jack. You too, mate. Easter feels like a long time ago now, although Seb's still got Easter eggs. Yeah, so they were arguing over the penalty. Madueke got fouled. He had the ball. And basically, Jackson was trying to get it off Madueke. And then Palmer took it off Madueke. So 3 of them wanted it. Hannah says, shout out for the Chuff Brigade. If you know, you know. Would you recommend going to Cheltenham, says Kenneth? Not now. Nothing's happening. But when it's actually on in March, it's good. Jeremy, thanks for your super chat. 20 minutes to go, 5-0. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. I don't know whether we hit 134,000, but please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. Don't forget, we're live tomorrow and Wednesday for Champions League watch-alongs, the deciders. It's the second leg. And then Thursday night, I'm doing a special watch-along for the Europa League because I think we have the potential to witness something very special. I think Liverpool might do it. Ran over by my taxi Boxing Day, crashed into en route to Forest Away, fell off back of me and mate's Harley putting off from Petty Station. Weekend unlucky, says Dean Rav. Sounds very unlucky, Rav. I'll give it a 1 out of 10. Might even be a 0. Madueke's coming off. I think the problem with Chelsea is they are like... they're a very young team, aren't they, Chelsea? And Pochettino apparently is very good with young players. Remember Luke Shaw saying that, but they just they need to mature a little bit, don't they? They are very inconsistent. I don't think Everton are going to go down, Stuart. I don't think Everton are going to go down. I think that they are. They're in. They've got some. I think they've got 3 or 4 home games, and that's what it's all about. Raging Roblox says, "Can I have a shout out?" Of course you can. Aiden says Chelsea's team's full of moody gits. Oh, here we go. Game's man of the match for Everton, says Pyro. Nomad says, you think Forest will go down? That's my prediction who's going to go down. I just think Luton have got the better run-in, but it's not always how it works, as we know. Here's good play by Jackson. Madueke, crap shot. It'd be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. I mean, again, look, we spoke about Everton. I don't really know what's going on with Everton and their ownership, but I do think it's also interesting with Chelsea because I find it quite interesting how they've got this financial FFP hanging over them, not in relation to getting points deducted, but by the fact that they've got to comply. And we know that under Todd Boehly, they've spent ridiculous amounts of money. And I think you look at that Chelsea side, and they're desperate. I still think they're desperate for a striker. Well, they're obviously desperate for a striker, but I think they're also desperate for a couple of other players. And have they got the financials to do that? Who would Everton? What would Everton be good to do in EAFC 24? Says Daniel. I think it'd be hard to do. Yeah, I think it'd be hard to do. I think you'd have to be a good player, well, or play on amateur. Everton's problem is goal scorer. You know, Calvert-Lewin's been their guy to score goals for years, and he's never bloody fit, is he? Let me just whack this up for you. Don't forget, you might just be able to see it here. I've took it back from the Goldbridge Arms. It's coming out this summer. Football, according to Mark Goldbridge. Get in. My book is coming out. Please support it by pre-ordering it, by scanning the QR code with your camera phone. You can pre-order the Audible on Amazon. If you live worldwide, you can pre-order it on Amazon. And if you live in the UK and you want a signed version, you can also order it from WH Smith. If you scan that QR code with your camera phone, it will take you to all the relevant links. Very excited about it. Please do support it and pre-order it. Talking about the mainstream, it will piss them off massively if the book does well. So please do support the book and pre-order it. It's really appreciated. You've supported us on a lot of things over the years. So if you could support us on that, it'd be really appreciated. Thank you very much. Tony Patterson says Ollie Watkins will be at Chelsea next year. I don't think Chelsea have got that amount of money. I mean, I was talking about this. I can't remember. I don't know whether it was on the podcast or wherever. But who is the manager and captain of the Chuff Brigade, says Harvard. Well, do you know what the Chuff Brigade is? It can't be me. The Chuff Brigade are people who live up their mum's chuff and then talk about football that they wouldn't have seen up their mum's chuff. So somebody who's in the Chuff Brigade would be somebody who's like 23 who tells you that De Bruyne is the best player the Premier League's ever had and factually can't have witnessed half of the Premier League. So that's what the Chuff Brigade is. So I can't be captain of that because I am the captain of the opposite of the Chuff Brigade because I have witnessed all of the Premier League. So you need to think of somebody who's in their early 20s who talks like they know everything about football but didn't see half the Premier League. I was talking about something else before that. Oh, yeah. Isaac and Watkins. Look, I think Isaac would be brilliant for someone like Arsenal. I think Watkins would be brilliant for someone like Arsenal. And Arsenal are looking for a striker. But the great thing about Villa and Newcastle is that they are not going to sell Watkins or Isaac for any less than 100 million quid. So do Arsenal or Chelsea, Man United or any other team that might want a striker have £100 million? Because there's no argument. That's the price. Ollie Watkins is nearly top of the assists chart and top of the goal scoring charts. It's 100 million quid. Isaac, I think, cost Newcastle about 60 million quid, so they're going to want to make profit on it. So yeah, two very good strikers, but I don't think Newcastle and Villa need to worry about losing them. If Chelsea somehow manage to qualify for FA Cup final, do you think Coventry can win? Mrs. Stone, you're hilarious. Dean Rav, thanks for being a member for a month. Do you think Dyche will be at Everton next season, says Lee? I don't know what the plan is for Everton. I don't know what the plan is for Everton. Very serious message from Dean. He says, football's not everything. The 97 will never be forgotten. And, of course, you know, he's referring to the Liverpool fans who lost their lives at Hillsborough back in 89, wasn't it? On this date. So regardless of who you support, we certainly should remember that. No football fan should go to a match and not come home. Talking about remembering the Premier League, I was old enough to remember that. A horrible day for football. A quite horrible day and quite, you know, I was very, very young. Quite horrible day. And I can't think of anything football. I can't think of anything in my life in football where not only a horrible day, but just unfathomable. I cannot even say the word. It was just like, to this day, just don't, you know, it's horrible. And still very much something that those poor families have to live with. And also on top of that, all the trauma caused by that event that they've had to live with over the years. Somebody mentioned Bradford. Bradford was very bad. I don't remember Bradford though. Was Bradford 85? I've been way too young for that one. But yeah, I think that was a fire, wasn't it? Would I take Dyche at United, says Jay? Only for the memes. You know, me doing the voice. Yeah, it'd be good. Will Howe wouldn't do my voice very good. Will Howe get the sack, says Mrs. Stone? No. Amar says, which players do you miss United that left in the last 5 years? Ronaldo. I mean, I liked Mata, but we never got the best out of him. I liked the idea of Pogba, but we never got the best out of him. I mean, there's been some good players who've left United in the last 5 years, but we never got the best out of them. So Ronaldo for me, I just think that it didn't need to end like that. The Don says, what world event left you speechless? your super chat, funnily enough, it's just that's probably the longest I've been quiet in a long time. No, I remember 9/11 and I wasn't speechless. I remember what I said, and you know, those people who are with me know what I said, and it was I wasn't speechless. Eight minutes to go, 5-0 to Chelsea. Would not have predicted this. I don't think Chelsea fans would have predicted this. I actually thought Everton might come here and cause a problem. But you know what? If you can get that early goal when you're at home, makes such a difference. And Chelsea's problem this season has been not scoring. So, guarantee if Chelsea had missed their chances and it's 0-0 after half an hour, Everton grow into the game. Get that early goal makes such a difference. Because Everton can't score. Do you think Chelsea could beat City in the semi-final, says Mac? I'd love Chelsea to beat City in the semi-final. I'd love Real Madrid to beat City on Wednesday night. I mean, I just love everyone to beat Man City. There is not a scenario in world football that I would want Man City not to lose, actually. I wanted Liverpool to beat them at Anfield because I wanted Arsenal to win the league. So, there's never a case where I don't want City to lose. Yes, it's salty. Yes, it's tears. Whatever it is. It's also rivalry, but I don't think Chelsea. I know Chelsea have won 5-0 here, but I still look at them and go, Man City should deal with them. However, Chelsea have had 2 decent results against City this season. They'll have to raise their game. I don't think Madrid will beat City either, no. I mean, Madrid have got a good defence. I mean, Rudiger was brilliant, wasn't he? But Madrid should have beat City in Spain, and City scored 2 bangers, and that's what City can do. You know, you can shut Haaland down, and then they'll go and score 2 bangers. Isaac at Spurs is fantasy. Levy pay that much, says Nigel. I think Newcastle would let Isaac go for 100 million because that it would be brilliant money for them to get in the bank, but for FFP etc. But I don't know that anyone. Look, Arsenal spent 100 million pounds on Rice, who's a holding midfielder. If you've got 100 million, I'd spend it on a striker. Mate is an Everton fan, says all turning on Dyche, says Paul. You know, but I like Dyche. I like his personality. But you know what? His football is never going to... I remember when he went from Burnley to Everton, and I was like, wow, you know, his football's not great. But then I thought, well, maybe at Burnley you've got to play a certain way, and at Everton he might try and play a different way. And he'll always talk about his XG. I think he thinks it's a car. But their XG, Everton, for most of the season has been very good, and they've not been putting the ball in the back of the net. So I sort of do feel a bit sympathetic towards him, because they have, I mean, not tonight, but even tonight they have created a couple of chances, but they haven't got a striker. I think so many teams don't have strikers, and I think that's why Newcastle, Villa, you look at the teams who've got strikers, it's no surprise to me that a lot of them do well. I mean, obviously Spurs don't really have a striker, Arsenal don't really have a striker, but, you know, look at Brentford when they've had Ivan Toney. It makes a massive difference. Hypothetically, do you reckon Atletico or Barca can beat Man City in a one-off game? Inter was close last year, says Nico. I don't really. I think they can, but Man City would be big favourites. If Coventry managed to win the FA Cup, it would be one of the greatest footballing moments as that skills. Yeah, they're not going to, though. Perhaps, Mark, you agree with me, says Rafi. With these youngsters, I think Chelsea might have a bright future. Maybe their project will work, says Rafi. But they've got to grow. Youth is no good if they don't grow up. They've got to grow together. mature and become a team. I honestly miss Fred, says Jordan. I think Fred this season would have been actually better than some of the players that we kept, yeah. United stand be bigger if United were good or smaller, says Jay. Good or smaller? What does small? I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what smaller means. I mean, it's not a word I normally have to deal with. But do you mean good, bigger, or I don't know. Look, some of our most watched streams have been when we've been in cup finals, so I think success would be something nice. Obviously, I'd rather be successful. Arsenal or City, bigger club in your opinion? Easily Arsenal soccer. If Richie was still at Everton, would they be safe? Richarlison, says Brian. Yeah, I think he's the sort of player that would score some of these chances. Harvard says Chelsea's 3 points behind Man United with 1 game in hand, says Harvard. Yeah, but I'm not surprised by that. Chelsea have had a bad season, but Man United have had a shit season as well. Why shouldn't Chelsea be 3 points behind Man United? I mean, yes, Chelsea have had a bad season, but Man United have lost at home to Bournemouth, lost at home to Fulham. You know, been beat. We've had some really shit results. We've lost like 13 games, haven't we? So Chelsea's game in hand is Arsenal. Yeah, but you never know, Chelsea. You never know. Thanks, Philly. Palmer starting at the Euros. Who would you bench? Says Dan. Well, if you're playing him in a front three, you'd have to go Kane, Palmer, and Saka. I don't think Palmer will start. I think you'll put Foden in ahead of him. 2 United players have scored 5 goals in 1 match. Who, says Darwin? Well, it's Andy Cole against Ipswich is 1. I should know the other one. Is it Berbatov? I don't think it is. It's definitely Andy Cole 1. And I'm going to say... I don't remember the other one. A lot of people in the chat is saying it is Berbatov against Blackburn. Thank you very much. I remember Solskjaer scoring a hat-trick off the bench when we beat Forest 8-1 in it's 6. It's 6 Chelsea. Gilchrist, he's very happy. He's really happy. I think he thinks he's won the World Cup. He's so happy. Is it his first goal for Chelsea? He's so... that's lovely to see. He's so happy. Look at that. That's football. 6th goal of the night. And he's absolutely ecstatic. It is his first goal, says Tom. Oh, it's lovely to see. I'm not a Chelsea fan, I don't know. But 6-0 and the best celebration of the night comes from Gilchrist. He's a Chelsea supporter and it's his first goal. Yeah, it's lovely to see, isn't it? You can't doubt. I tell you what, Chelsea fans, you've got no worries about him and his passion and desire, have you? Look how happy he is. You know what? We should see that all the time. You know, as a United fan, we don't see that enough. Like, there are some who do it, and I'm sure it's the same at other clubs, but That to me is the connection with the player in the club. Like, that's what you want to see. That and look, will he be able to do that for every goal? Maybe not, but it's lovely to see that because we're so passionate about this game. We love it. And I think some players, there's so much money in it, there's so many moves, they can come across as a bit mercenary. So it's nice to see genuine joy of scoring a goal. He's a Cobham boy as well, says Blues enthusiast. Andrew Soul says either or, Foden or Palmer. I'll do a very, very quick one because we're running out here. Run out of time. I'm going to go and watch... I've got it recorded. I'm going to watch Jamie Oliver's air fry recipes. You can't spoil it. It's cooking. Start, bench, sell. Globalisation, Pivot, McTominay, or my uncle, says Monks. It's been a cracking little watch along with the hardcore. I'm sure we'll have more people watching when it's the Champions League nights and the European nights. This game was over after 20 minutes, really, but you're the hardcore. Thanks everyone who's tuned in. And as you are the hardcore, please do scan the QR code and pre-order the book because you're the people that it's really for. All the stories you didn't know about. I was laughing about it the other night and I wrote it. Mark, Branthwaite to United, really? Don't dare, says Will. Mate, you can't judge somebody on one game. Van der Ven was horseshit against Newcastle. I'd be all over him if we could get him. And remember Branthwaite is potential as well. Paul Irwin says 14k on a Monday night. It's fantastic. It's a great community that we've built. Palmer's got 58% of the vote. Foden's got 42%. I think Foden technically is the better player, but what Palmer's done in what is basically a debut season is incredible in a team that's nowhere near as good as Man City. So how old is Cole Palmer is the interesting question for me. For some reason, I think he's 21. There's no way he's going to be 21. He is 21. I thought he's not. He's a bit older than I thought, although I did think he was 21 for some reason. He's 22 next month. He's 4 years older than Kobbie Mainoo. Kess says, I watched Kin after you mentioned it. What a show. Very good. Yeah, very good. Chelsea got a better goal difference than Man United, says Kate. I think my dead gran's got a better goal difference than Man United. And she's been in under the ground for about 8 years. Rest in peace. Yeah, goal difference is not something United fans talk about. It's been shit all season. I mean, look, when your striker has had one shot in 4 games, you're not going to have a good goal difference. Yash, if Rashford, Bruno, Garnacho started fighting for a penalty, what would you say? What is the appropriate discipline for this? Bruno takes it. He's the penalty taker. Mainly's 19 in a couple of days, says Jay. No, Cole Palmer being 22 at the start of May surprises me. It's not an issue, but I did think he was 21, but then thinking about it properly, I would expect him to be 18 or 19. Good save, Petrovic. It's going to be a clean sheet. Chelsea will want that clean sheet. 6-0. I mean, look, in fairness, we've given Chelsea a bit of credit here, deservedly, but if they'd really wanted it, this could have been 7 or 8. I think Luton will stay up, Jay. I don't want to give them a kiss of death, but I do think they'll stay up. Don't forget tomorrow, it's Barcelona PSG is our featured game. Obviously, Dortmund may have a chance. It's at Dortmund, and it's they're 2-1 down against Atletico, so we will keep an eye on that as well. So looking forward to that. And that's the final whistle. You've been absolute legends tonight. Really enjoyed it. 2 things. The book, you can pre-order there. Please do that. But more importantly, Goldbridge Saves Football podcast is out tonight. If you want more chat about the title, the integrity of the Premier League, why it's a joke, why it's not the best league in the world, the relegation battle, the fight for Champions League, 4th place, all sorts is on there. Plus Pratt of the Week. We've got Simon Jordan in there. I think I'm in there as well. Check out the podcast, Ultras. Scan that QR code, get yourself on Spotify and give it a listen. Or you can watch the full video version on this channel now. Just go to the homepage. Check everyone out. Speak to you in a bit.